How much revenue do you think that team made last year?
Yeah, before or after expenses?
Exactly. Either one. Just throw a number out there and then think about if you were to deposit that and earn interest on it, you probably still would make 99% more than that $1 million a year the Mets are paying Bobby Bonilla, right? For me, it's a brilliant move.
I don't disagree. I think I just Googled it. In 2022, the Browns' revenue was 545 million. Now, I don't know what their expenses were. The way this team's managed, probably 544.9. But I'm just saying, it's interesting. But it's a dream for all of us. It ain't gonna happen, but
Yeah, but just think about how innovative at that time that contract was, that his agent came up with, and the fact that the Mets agreed to it and he's still getting paid. So, hats off to him. It was a brilliant move. I think a lot of us wish that we were more creative, but, here we are. He hasn't played in the majors since 2001 and he's still getting paid. He's getting paid $1.19 million every July 1st deal.
Listen, you take Kate's number and you kick 6% interest a year, just simple interest, that's like $15 million a year. Like it's a brilliant move from a financial perspective. That's why when I see these like baseball players get signed for like ginormous money and it's guaranteed, I think, man, is Major League Baseball bringing in that kind of revenue, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
incredible.
And just think about it. He's 61 years old and he's making more than a lot of the current players in this league are making right now. So that's something that's amazing. But I want to move on to the Cleveland Cavaliers. So today, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they, announced their head coach and they had a press conference for Kenny Atkinson today at the facility in Independence. And Kenny Atkinson, I like him. I think that he's going to be a good fit for this team. I think that, he's going to bring something new and different to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I think we're ready or the team is ready for a new chapter. What are you ladies? So the signing was announced last week, but it took a while for logistics to work out. He was in town for the draft, so he did play a part of that. But, he was finally able to have a press conference here after it was announced he was going to be the head coach. So it finally took place today. I'll take you first, Kate. Go ahead.
oh, okay. I was waiting. I'm trying to be more polite. I like it. I don't have an issue with it. There were a couple candidates out there that I did not want here. Frankly, one of them was JJ Redick. Anyway. So there were more that I didn't want than I did want, and I had to go look up Atkinson, where he's been, what he's been doing. I know he had coached the Nets for a few years, and that organization was still trying to figure out how to turn things around. But he played and he's coached before. So it'll be very interesting to see how he does. He also coached, he was an assistant for Mike D'Antoni, who's one of my favorite coaches. So I think the players will relate well to him. I think he'll be very different from what we had with JB. And I hope we find out in his first year if they can actually win some games, win big games, win playoff games in that long run at the end. If he can manage their minutes, put them on a pitch count, so to speak, and manage them through that rough end of the year. My biggest curiosity is how much influence did Spida have in that decision? Did he have a vote? Did he say anything? And what does he think? Because as he goes is how the team will go.
Yeah, he talked with Spider a lot throughout the process. So I think that they have a relationship that is there. It sounds like it's getting pretty strong. And one of the reasons why was let go, and that is because of the relationship that he had with Donovan Mitchell. He didn't have one, and Donovan Mitchell is one of the leaders in that locker room. And if Donovan Mitchell had JB Bickerstaff's bag, JB Bickerstaff would still be here. But there was a breakdown in the relationship, and then obviously when when JB left, he kind of took the dig at Jared Allen, and that wasn't really appreciated by Spida. So I
do you
think
think
that
the
they're
team
building
had
a
to make a
relationship.
choice, either Donovan or JB? In order
Absolutely
to
think
get
so.
Donovan to re-sign, they had to get rid of JB, or if they'd have kept JB, Donovan wouldn't have re-signed.
The superstar always wins. Sapphire, why are you I'm looking at you, your mouth is hanging open.
Because you know what? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do the Joe Biden. Whoa, wait a minute. Let me pull it back. Mouth was agape. Let me pull it back.
Look, take this finger.
Okay.
Reset. All right, let's go.
Okay, because I think I'm still reeling from that. But here's where I'm at, right? If it takes a professional athlete to be coddled like a baby just to do his job, what does that really say about the mettle of the athlete? That's number one. Okay. Number two, at this point, they could bring Mahatma Gandhi in here. I need someone to work with Evan Mobley on his footwork. Feed that man some meat and potatoes, Kate. They need to feed him.
So in baseball, the guy that's in charge is called a manager. In basketball, he's called the head coach. I need someone who can do some coaching.
Yeah.
Coach up Evan Mobley and Karis LeVert and some of these other players who have some holes in their game that could use a little bit of help. Coach them up. Donovan don't need coaching up. He doing
Exactly.
just fine.
Exactly.
But I need a coach, not a manager.
Yes, all different rules apply to Spider. We know that, and I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. But when I look at Evan will be third or fourth year in the league. Somebody help me out with that.
Third.
His fourth year.
He's still, to me, as I'm looking at the game as a fan, by the way, he still looks like to me that he's a senior at SC. I'm sorry. There's been, to me, no progress as it relates to his game. If anything, I think it's regressed. And I don't want to see him in row one trying to shoot trifectas from the scoring table. I want him somewhere in and around that paint. And he's so petite. Kate, it drives me crazy. Like, you and I see this. Like, so is Atkinson going to come in and be able to get players like Mobley to respond to him? Look, I'm open. I just need to see it come to fruition.
So Evan was drafted in 21, and he played really well that year for a rookie coming right out. And then I saw a nice little bump to the next year, and then I've seen this. I need a bump. I thought JB was doing a good job with him because of how well he did that rookie year out the gate, but I don't think he knew how to coach him up to the next part. There's quite a few guys on this team that I do not think have reached their potential. I think the ceiling is still high for this team if you can coach those players up. And I don't disagree. His potential and his ability to be coached is something that I really liked about him when we drafted him. I thought, with the right coaching, this kid's got a ceiling that's out of control.
But we all know what he needs to work on, and that's shooting. So what else can they do to work on shooting with him? I don't know what they're doing.
His footwork, number one. Footwork.
It's not just shooting in hands. To Sapphire's point, it's the footwork, it's the knees, it's the how to set it, it's the shot selection. Yep. Make better choices on your shots. Go ahead.
Take
the shots that are a high percentage shot for you. Don't take the ones that you make 30% of the time in practice.
Right.
Get to the ones you make 80, 90% of the time in practice. Your teammates have to know each other, and you have to draw up the plays. We talk about this more with football.
Yep.
Design plays that DTR is good at, that Deshaun is good at, that whoever your quarterback is. Design plays that they're good at. There are plays in basketball. Call plays for where your players are good. If your player is good from the post or if he's good in the paint, get him there and call plays that'll be successful for him. Help him build a little more confidence in a game flow. And then some of them lower percentage shots he'll hit later.
Absolutely. And then in my mind, Kate, Rachel, I'm thinking, okay, he's probably coming up on a contract, right? If he was drafted at 21, I mean, we're talking about babies with a ton of money. We're talking about off-court distractions. We're talking about, are you really writing on the God-given, physical abilities that you have, or are you really investing in your craft like LeBron James always talks about, which is why he's 40 years old and still able to outball.
Oh,
Those are
you know what
things.
I heard? You know what I heard about LeBron?
Okay.
I heard he's sleeping with the mother of one of his teammates. Because his son's on the team now. Get it? So he's married
You are too funny.
to his teammate's mom.
Almost had a heart attack. Thank you for pulling me back. Seriously. Still in
Rachel's
that window.
going, no.
Still in
I'm
that
like,
window.
Rachel, it's a joke. His son is on the team. Get
Yeah,
it?
no, I know.
So,
I'm
but yeah.
looking at the roster right now, girl, and I think Jared Allen is fine. I think Darius Garland is mostly fine. I think Donovan is fine. But Isaac Okoro has had moments that were absolutely amazing. He needs some coaching.
He needs another team.
Had moments. Dean Wade, a lot of these guys that we're going to see starting have had moments. George Niang coming off the bench. Sam Merrill. These other guys, I'll leave those three alone. I'll leave Donovan, Darius, and Jared alone. The rest of these guys need some coaching. They need footwork. They need positioning. They need doing mental exercises to make better choices on the court. The unforced errors for some of these guys is ridiculous. That's mental. Make better choices. Those are the things that Atkinson can improve with them, that can coach them up on, so that longer we go deeper into the playoffs and we can take a shot at things. If you can fix that kind of stuff.
I think Okoro needs another team, a fresh start, a new start somewhere else. I don't think they played him in the right position since he got to the Cavaliers. So
I don't disagree, but I think getting a new head coach could be that new start for him. Let's see how he does. And if not, we'll be having this conversation at the trade deadline. Let's look at who is not thriving in this new system, and we'll put them all up on the block.
And so,
turn Isaac Okoro into a basketball player, because he's someone that should have been drafted from the very beginning, because he has a very, very limited skill set offensively, and that was known coming into the draft. So, you talk about he's this defensive specialist, but you also need to be able to have 5 people on the court who can score, and you're getting nothing out of that, small forward position. You're not getting anything out of Isaac Okoro. So, a new start could possibly help it, but Kenny Atkinson, one of the things that he said that his strengths was that he's super collaborative. So he's already been talking to the players, in addition to, he, helped with the draft. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But he said that, he works with transparency, honesty, love, and care, and connect with the players. And he plans on coaching them, and he plans on being honest with them. So those are some of the things that he was saying that, he's going to plan on doing, which is something that, is going to be needed, that corroborative effort, because, one of the things is, they let JB go and this team improved every bit of the way. How do you get this team to improve one more? Is it, making the Eastern Conference Final, losing to the Celtics? Because everything you do is going to go through the Boston Celtics from here on out. So how do you get over that hurdle of the Boston Celtics, who I don't see going anywhere for a long time? And I think Jason Tatum just signed a contract. I got a text about that, but I don't think Boston's going anywhere for a long time. So how do we get to
that's what the conversation about a Max Strus or an Isaac Okoro or those guys comes into play, because you now have to have players on the court that match up with Boston. Right? So maybe you keep Isaac for his defense, and you be more selective about when he has his minutes. If a certain Celtic or a certain opponent is off the court, that's when he comes on. If your other 4 can stay even with them on points, you need to give somebody a rest, you can bring him in. There are things that you can do, but the entire Eastern Conference, so like we've had all those years of LeBron, right? In the Eastern Conference, there was no way you were competing with him. There was no way you were going to be able to get a player to worry about LeBron. So you tried to find other players to match up with whoever LeBron's teammates are. That's what the Celtics have done with that team they put together this year. And the way that team performed, all of the other teams, including the Cavs, are going to have to look at how they match up against Boston, because you're going to have to go through Boston to get there. So we may not get to the All-Star break, or the trading deadline before we're looking at players. Kenny, as the new coach, may start looking at these guys now. He may look at what's available and he may go to leadership and say, listen, I need to get this one, and this one. They need to go so I can bring in this one, because it's a better matchup against the Celtics because we got to go through Boston.
I love that how you put that together, because at the end of the day, I feel like the Cavaliers need more offensive production, right? We know what we got. We know how they performed. Like, it would be great to see this new coach come in. Don't make us long suffer until the trade deadline. Pull the trigger straight away. That's a great perspective, Kate.
I mean, he's going to be evaluating this team from jump, and he's going to have to be doing it with an eye to Boston.
Absolutely.
Oh, we got to take a break right quick, but Jason Tatum, just sources confirmed that he signed a 5-year deal with the Boston Celtics for $62.8 million a year. So 5 years, $314 million.
Good for him. Congratulations. He deserves every penny of it.
Yeah, congratulations to Jason Tatum. So
I mean, I'm not. I'm just
no, but he's fertile. You got to watch that, Kate. He's fertile.
Kate trying to be baby mama number 3. We'll be right back. This is Her in the Huddle on WOBG 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
That's you, Rachel. My baby mama days are long gone. Ain't enough money in the world for me to be a baby mama.
Think about that. 60 mil plus a year, separate from your endorsements and everything else you got going on. And you just turned 26 years old.
But that's where you need a financial planner. You need someone to tell you, now don't be going out and buying Disneyland. Don't be buying a piece of a basement. Don't be doing nothing crazy. Don't be having to party for all your friends. Absolutely. That is generational wealth if you manage it correctly.
Absolutely.
And not enough of these professional athletes do. They look at right now and what they've done without their whole lives, and they help everybody they know, and then they got nothing, and ain't nobody helping them. I hope he's got a good financial planner who's helping him set up. He seems like a bright dude, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that and assume he's got someone who's going to be looking out for him.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. So we were just talking a little bit about Kenny Atkinson and the job that he has to do with the Cleveland Cavaliers as the new head coach. You know, he didn't have the best record when he coached for the New Jersey Nets, but that was before, not the New Jersey Nets, excuse me, the Brooklyn Nets. I'm dating myself and showing my age, but, you know, that was pretty much, he had 1 year with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So I don't know if we necessarily want to judge him on that. It looks like, you know, the Nets were doing some rebuilding and things like that. But, you know, he has a new opportunity. He talked about Steve Kerr and the experience that he had, you know, coaching Steph Curry and stuff like that. And I guess, you know, Draymond was highly complimentary of him as well, too. So I think he's ready for his second shot in the NBA to be a head coach. So, you know, we're looking forward to seeing what's going to happen, because Donovan should be signing a new deal soon. It doesn't look like he's going to be signing that 4-year deal because, you know, it looks like he wants to be locked up for he'll be a 10-year player. So he's entitled to make more money after that. So he's kind of locked in a little bit. And then after he signs maybe a 2 to 3 year deal, then he'll come back out, you know, as a free agent and be able to make more money. So ladies, what are your thoughts about Spider signing that new deal and being all in, you know, having these conversations with Kenny Atkinson, but right now being all about Cleveland? And that's from Kobe Altman's words.
I love that because I'm a homer. I love Jose Ramirez because he wants to play here. I love Donovan Mitchell anyway. I think it's important. So we feel like the redheaded stepchildren, right, of any sport. Like nobody wants to come to Cleveland. Cleveland's awful. Cleveland is very cool. People who come for the first time are like, wow, it is actually pretty cool. People who've never been here say bad things about us. For Donovan, the caliber of athlete that he is, the talent, the way he is respected across the association, to say that he wants to stay here, to work out a deal and stay here, shows everyone else that this is a good place. And it shows his belief in the front office, which I'm still lukewarm on Kobe Altman. I still don't know if I like what he's done or not. Donovan is at a point in his career where he should be ring chasing. For him to stay here means that front office told him something that makes him think this is his best chance of getting a ring. And that makes me feel like they're taking this seriously. He's not, I'll go old school, Sean Wallace and some of these guys that we've brought into town on their last legs. He is in the prime of his career. So for him to stay, he must believe in what the front office is doing and believe that he can get a ring staying here. And I like that.
I agree with everything Kate said. Listen, for me, give Spider the keys to the kingdom. Don't just tell him and, verbal stuff. Yeah, blah, blah. Give him the keys to the kingdom, meaning give him the ability to freely input and assess and be part of the decision making process. Because to Kate's point, he is in his prime. I am so sick and tired of our teams getting all the, dressed up and going to the dance and then we fail. No one invites us out onto the dance floor and we don't win the prom king or queen award. I'm sick and tired of it. I think we live in an environment today where you have to embrace your star, once in a generational type athlete's perspective on what he or she wants. I will say she now as well. If you really want to be successful, you really want that fan support, you really want to make people believe we got a legit chance to win a championship, that's what it takes.
Well, and I think basketball is a different kind of sport when it comes to players getting along with each other and having chemistry and the ability of one player and a second player when they work together to equal three. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
In baseball, I feel like it's maybe pitcher catcher, but other than that, it's 9 separate dudes. In football, you got your quarterback, your wide receiver, you got your offensive lineman, you have pockets. In basketball, there are 5 starting guys, and those 5 guys need to get along, and they need to get along on and off the court because they play a lot in very close proximity. And any input Donovan has about who he wants to play with, who he likes to play with, what style of play he wants to do, anything that can encourage those 5 guys to be a unit, it starts and ends with him and what he wants and his input. And it feels like because he signed that extension, that he's able to give them that input and that they're going to listen to him.
Yeah, this is Donovan's team now. So,
yeah,
as you know, as you go, he goes, and you have him the next few years, and they possibly could have been able to challenge Boston. At the end of the day, Boston is very talented, but they were right there, and they were missing people. And if you just think about, if the ball bounced their way in a couple situations, and the 50-50 balls and stuff like that, Boston was right for the taking. And, at the end of the day, it was a gentleman's sweep. But the Cavs were competitive in the series where they were missing people. And that's important at the end of the day. And these are the things that you can build upon for the next, these things that you build upon going into next season. So really quickly getting on Jalen Tyson. So that is who they drafted on draft night. So he is a 6'7", small forward, power forward out of Cal. So to me, this pick is what it is. They're going with the core 4. One of the things I think about is, a lot of people might not agree with this, but I feel like Imani Bates should have been up here and got a little bit more playing time because I feel like Jalen Tyson is just going to end up down with the charge. So I don't feel like, he's really going to be able to develop much or anything like that. How is he going to see action? How is he going to see the floor? Because this team is going to be focused on the core 4 and bringing them up. But I'm just like, to me, he kind of just he's just one of the guys, and I'm not sure how much he's really going to make a difference because you already have those wing guys, you already have those shooters. Now he said that he's going to make the roster, which I believe in, having all the confidence in the world. I want him to make the roster, but I don't know if that realistically is going to happen. But I just look at, he's one of those draft picks that this wasn't one of the drafts that, was really out there that had a ton of good players. And then you're picking 20. So you're not really going to get, the cream of the crop players. But, this was somebody that, hopefully you can just plug and play and you can help develop where he can, actually crack the roster. But you got some guys down there in the Canton Charge who are already part of your rotation.
I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. I can't even put my finger on it. But I feel like when I looked at his reels, when I read about him, he's supposed to have this like huge personality. We don't know about his game, but given the opportunity, and he's fresh and probably the most malleable when you think about what you shared about Atkinson and what he's known for, player development, yada yada yada. That's shout out to Jay Williams. I'm just thinking like Okoro is probably maxed out in terms of his his capabilities. And
I think so too.
I'm not certain about Levert. Big question about Strus. Is it out of the realm of possibilities that think this young man can't come in and really show us something early in the season that gets him on the bench at least? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Because honestly, I don't feel like Max Strus and George Niang really contributed that much and improved our team that much and gave us what we need was that shooting. And George Niang was kind of terrible in the playoffs, so we weren't able to get much from him. So I don't really look at that. They fulfilled the needs that we had them here for, and we could look elsewhere. And, that's where this young kid comes into play if he can crack the roster and be part of the, get in and get some quality minutes and be developed. So that's where I'm looking at that right there.
I mean, real quick, Kate, what you said earlier, 5 guys, they need to integrate on and off the court. Could it be the gorgeous Max Strus, his game isn't yoked to Spider style? Could it be that even Levert, even in Okoro, their games are not conducive to Spider style? I mean, I'm just asking these questions. This young man is 21 years old. He is malleable. He is agile. He is moldable. He's all those things John Houseman talked about in the paper chase. And now he's playing with one of the premier players in the league. I'm just asking.
I think he is. I think he's got raw talent, right? And I think he was a good choice. We're still talking about Jalen, right? I think he was a good choice for the Cavaliers. He played for 3 different colleges. And he still got his points. He did better at Texas Tech, I think, than he did his last year at Cal.
Yep.
But he still got his points, which shows basic talent. But he improved, other than 3-point percentage, every year, which shows me he's coachable. And that he's adaptable. And that he's malleable. He can fit into the system, which gives me great hope that when he comes here, he can be what we need him to be. And I firmly believe, even though we're picking 20, and even though we weren't getting, as Rachel called him, the cream of the crop, I think Donovan had some thoughts on who would be available and who they should take. And I don't think he has an issue with it. I think his confidence that he's going to make the roster, I love it. Yeah, I love it. And he could be a breath of fresh air. He could be how this team starts to turn. If you get Kenny coaching him and you get Donovan coaching him, mentoring him, working with him, and you get the 2 of them together, forward position needs to be more than it's been.
Hello. And the preacher said, amen.
I feel good about the pick.
Oh, yes.
All right. We're going to go to break right quick. And then when we come back, we're going to welcome Mike Hughes of the Give Us a Shot Network to talk some WNBA in the house with us. So we're going to be right back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOBU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Kate, you're like knocking it out of the park. Because, I mean, you don't have to unlearn his bad habits. He's proven to be successful in 3 different systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, be so refreshing.
Basketball is very different than football. You can plug and play a football player into 3 different schools. It don't mean nothing.
Except for Jedrick Wills.
5. There's only 5. And they're they're literally sweating and touching all over each other the whole time. Like to be able to fit into that rhythm. I missed the chemistry we saw with LeBron and Kyrie, and I don't know
Absolutely.
that we've seen it since. And I feel like I'm speaking too soon, but I am hopeful that we could see that.
Were
That
you on a couple of weeks
chemistry.
ago? I think you were. Did I share that Miles Garrett Instagram with you?
Yes, you did.
All right, girl. I'm ready to talk some
Yes, you
football.
did.
And by the way, is there a hookup where you get some decently priced tickets for the Eagles and Commanders games?
Probably not. There's not decently priced tickets anywhere. I
Well, the
mean,
Commanders, I think we're going to be okay, but that Philly game, I looked at tickets. They started at 500 for stand up,
yeah.
area. It's crazy.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and I am here with Sapphire, Cleveland Kate. And make sure you're always keeping it locked here on your regular radio dial at 95.9 FM. You can also listen to us on the go if you download that WOVU app, as well as listening online at WOVU.org. And with us today, we have Mike Hughes out of Chicago from
The
the Give Us a
land.
Shot Network. And we're so excited to have him here because he's going to be talking some WNBA with us. And WNBA is really hot. It's always hot, not just, hot now because certain people choose to watch it. But we're going to get into some Caitlin Clark. We're going to get into some Angel Reese and good things like that. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing okay, Rachel. I'm always in your comments, always watching the show. So I love that you asked me to come on. So I appreciate you guys. It's nice to meet you guys as well. Um, see, my work wife isn't here today, and I'm really upset about it. I don't know where Brandy is today. It's honestly, it's kind of a heartbreaker that she's not here right now, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, you're gonna be okay, Mike. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. But everything going good?
Yeah, man. I mean, we just finished a really long home stretch, and now the Sky are out of town for about a week, so I kind of get to just hang out and do some Zooms, and it's kind of a blessing. But I also, you're gonna miss being there like 5 days in, so it's just a nice little break for a little bit before the Olympics.
Yeah. Can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and everything that you cover? Because I know you cover more than just the WNBA too.
Yeah, man. Straight out of Chicago, born and raised North Side till we die, always. But we're covering minor league baseball, mainly Chicago Cubs, but we do a lot of stuff with my guy Jim Cross. We do Pros and Joes, where we just interview Paul Skeens and a bunch of the boys over the past winter. We're hopefully going to be doing that again after the draft in just a few weeks. Obviously doing stuff at Give Us a Shot Network. We're covering the WNBA in its entirety, not telling the stories of these women far more than just Caitlin Clark. And that's not a shot at Caitlin, but that's just, we've been doing it way before, way after, where we were there then, we're there now, and we're going to be here in the future. So we just been rocking out over there, doing some stuff. And Rachel, doing some stuff at ASAP here and there, making my ASAP appearance yet again. But, it's always a blast to collab with the guys and the boys over there too. So you can find me on TikTok at the Shy Kid, or on Instagram if you ever feel like, just being a bother. You're never a bother,
Yeah, thank you so much for appreciate that. I see you busy, so thank you so much for taking some time out, to talk with us today. But one question I was like, I want to ask him is, what do people have wrong about the WNBA? Like, there's so many new eyes on it. A lot of us have been watching it for a long time. A lot of us are familiar, with all the players. But Caitlin Clark has brought a different element of attention to the game. What is something that a lot of people are getting wrong about this league?
I think, like, Rachel, I can't swear on here, right?
No, you can't. This is
okay,
clean.
making sure.
Thank you. Thank you for checking.
There's been a lot of messed up stuff that's been happening throughout the league that has been going on. I think a lot of people want to make it, everybody hates the white girl, but that's the furthest thing from the truth. We saw what happened with Hamby when, with her pregnancy, and how the Las Vegas Aces mishandled that. There was kind of a lawsuit there, and things going on because of that. Skylar Diggins-Smith went through her own things. Liz Cambage is Liz Cambage. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of racism. There's a lot of flaws in what happens throughout the WNBA. And I didn't mean to start it off so negative, but like,
we act like,
we act like this is, the worst thing in the world. Like there weren't so many other greats before her. I mean, there's the Kelsey Plums, there's the Sue Birds. I mean, the list goes on of great white women who have come into the WNBA and not gone through these same things, or if they did go through these same things, they just weren't talked about. I think to the new fans, the Clark fans, the Reese fans, I accept them all. I'm not a gatekeeper, and I've never been a gatekeeper. If you can't say you want the league to grow and then not want certain people there, so it's like, I think it's great for the game. I think the big thing is, though, it's some of the toughest women in the entire world are all in one league, and they might not like each other. You know what I mean? They might hate each other. They might not want to play with each other. They might not want to play against each other, and that's just what it is. It's nothing new. You know what I mean? We've seen it time and time again. I remember, Kalia Copper and Sophie Cunningham used to go at it in Chicago versus Phoenix, and now they're teammates. So, last night, there's been this big controversy about DT and Caitlin Clark, and then, they're having a great conversation on the court. It's really just, I think, media, and which is, I am a part of that problem. I won't act like I'm the end all be all great media guy, but it's like, we're all a problem. We all have a hand in like stirring things up where there maybe no problems lie. And I think that kind of creates a bigger problem. That's more like a political thing that I don't even want to get into, because I see the Caitlin Clark comments, like in her comment section. I see the Angel Reese comment sections, and they're talking about Trump and Biden and all this stuff. And I'm like, this has nothing to do with hoops. Like I didn't see this with Anthony Edwards and Luka Doncic, so I don't know why we see this with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. So I think that's my biggest thing, is like we're just seeing like so many worlds collide right now, and it's just like it leaves a sour taste in my mouth, just because I've been here over the years, and yeah, I'm just kind of adjusting to it.
It's really fascinating to be a young man. First of all, you're refreshing. I love your whole swag, your style. You got it going on, right? Straight up. I mean that. I mean, for me, when I think about the young athlete, it's different now, the way they brand themselves, and they did back when I was their age, right? So when we hear about athletes, professional athletes making comments about like politics or whatever, I think that's really them incorporating their brand into it, because before Caitlin Clark got to the WNBA, with all due respect, it didn't have this type of exposure. I mean, even on an international level. So I think, that's just the way things are. You get my age, and then you got to put your big girl panties on and understand this is the way the world works. This is the way that athletes brand themselves and how they generate their revenue. So for me, when I hear DT, listen, GOAT, but she came up in a different time, right?
Yeah.
I think the fodder between the young and the old is a great thing for the sport. My question for you is, where do you see this coming from? Meaning, is it how representative is it of the younger generation of fans, middle age, older? What are your thoughts on where it's actually coming from?
I think where it's coming from is the ugly parts of the world. And I think I'm not trying to sound like the great white hope. I don't want to be that guy who's like preaching for equality and that even, you know what I mean? Like there's people who stand on it, and there's people who, want to be about it. And that's just the levels to it. And I want to start out by saying that because I think there's so many people who just say things and they don't mean things. Like there's talking and there's walking. And I do a little bit of both. Rachel knows I never stop talking. So, but I think really it's old heads and it's new heads all kind of just colliding at the same time. And I mean that with love. Like it's us at the same time. Like we don't think we're ever wrong because we have histories past to tell us what we should do and what we shouldn't do. But what we don't realize is that we're living in history right now, and we're messing up in our own ways, and we're not understanding that. And there's probably going to be a new generation who talks about how we messed up. But I think the big thing is trying to incorporate that both together. DT is set in her ways. And that's what I worked with DT and Team USA throughout the last 2 winters. And I love DT as a person. I've had great conversations with her, and she's been nothing but love with me. And I see who she is as a leader. I see who she is as a person on and off the court. And she's one of them. You know what I mean? Like she's one of those ones. And I think, that was the beauty of that whole game yesterday between the Fever and the Mercury, was you saw it was nothing but love when she actually met Caitlin Clark. They're 2 competitors going at it, but in between those lines, you're definitely going to try to make relationships throughout the years. That's why we see so many people teaming up today. You're going to tell me Rachel Hill ain't going to tell me that, Klay Thompson went to Dallas over LA for a reason. I mean, he been with Kyrie for years.
Yep.
So I mean, I think, the big thing for me is really trying to find that healthy medium And the point of talking about the ugly side of the world is because I don't think that's your generation, and I don't think that's my generation that we hold. I think that's a whole other section of just a
Interesting.
group of people of all ages who just got it twisted and try to, like you said, like I think it's great to build your brand however
Mhm.
you want it, but I
Mhm.
haven't heard Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese mention 45 or 46 once, but you read in their comment sections and it's nothing but politics, or
Mhm.
you're classless, or you're a hood rat, or you're this, or you're that, or they say something about her being the great white hope when really neither of them have really,
Yeah.
even contributed to that conversation
Yeah.
whatsoever. And it's unfortunate that there's this fuel to the fire that neither of them's really lighting at the same time.
Mhm.
So this is one of those times. Oh, look, first of all, let me just say, I'm Team Cardoso all day,
Boom.
every day. Y'all can talk about Caitlin and Angel all you want. Give me a big girl who knows how to play. This is one of those side effects. So, Sapphire, you talk about it's great that we're bringing attention to the sport, but what we've seen in the last 8 years is sometimes that attention draws that negativity from those people who don't know nothing about WNBA, don't want to know.
Mm.
They just want to troll. And so this brings out the trolls. What Caitlin did at Iowa, beating Pistol Pete's record, drawing all that attention. Then you get the Final Four and the national championship going on the same as the men's tournament. And you know how many people show up to play the tournament brackets that don't know anything about college basketball. And oh, look, this is going on. It drew a lot of attention. And instead of it just holding the attention now of the people who actually love basketball and went, wow, this is really cool, I'm going to go watch the WNBA, it brought those trolls out. They're a minority. They're very vocal and they're very good at distracting you from the things that are important. I don't want to talk about them anymore.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Angel Reese, the queen of double doubles.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I'm with you, and I'm with you
Oh.
on that. Like, I was even looking at our views the other day. I had a few videos that got over 1 million views of Angel, and I've been covering. I mean, I've covered Kalia Copper, Elizabeth Williams, Emma Mieseman, Julie Alamon, Candace Parker, and so many greats. Never seen something like that. But if you look at the
Mm.
comments, it's as if you didn't even watch the video. There's that knee jerk reaction of if I see Angel's face, I'm gonna go to the comments and say something negative, and that's where a lot of
Wow.
people are at. That's how I view it. And it's like, it sucks because it's like, yeah, like we got 1 million views on a video, but me as a reporter, me as trying to paint stories, it's like, Rachel knows you don't want to read the comments of a great story that you're trying to tell, and everybody's just, trying to be a troll, or everybody's trying to say negative things, because these players, whether they say it or they don't, they see it, because I see it. Like I'm not, I could say 10 times out of 10, I don't read comments. I read comments all the time. In 1 second, I'm high as the moon, and the next second, I feel like I'm the worst kid in preschool. Like it's the worst feeling in the world.
But you know what? You are not alone, my son, young man. I write for Archer Football. We retweeted something the other day about Prince Harry getting an ESPY award for the work he's done with the Invictus Games, which turned into a fight between a whole bunch of people on the royal family and how useless the royal family is and that he didn't even do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this has nothing to do with the value of those games and the funds it raises for, wounded veterans
Yep.
and all of that stuff. Any topic, you get one or two trolls and it turns into, so it is happening in a lot of different areas, not just to you, but it's
No, for sure.
frustrating because then as women, I don't know about Rachel and Sapphire, probably like me, I get people asking me all the time, do you hear about what's going on with Caitlin and DT? I'm like, there's nothing. They're playing basketball. Quit making it a thing. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. So
I can't wait for the commercial to come out. That's really going to rock everybody's world.
Yeah, because what's getting lost is, Angel is having a great season as well. And,
Yep.
she has, I just had it right here. She can't, yeah, her and, sorry. So she's the first player in WNBA history to put up 10 consecutive games with a double-double in a single season. And that was a record set by Candace Parker. So she surpassed that. And just right now, she's averaging 13.3 points, 11.4 rebounds, 1.9 assists, and 1.5 steals. So she's having a great rookie season on her own, right? That nobody's being talked about because everybody's talking about this narrative of Caitlin Clark. And I think she should be in heavy consideration for rookie of the year as
Oh,
well
yeah.
as Caitlin Clark. But we know that these are going to be the top two. Are there any other, rookies that stand out to you as well besides these two, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, come on, Camilla's doing her thing, and I
Yeah.
think she had a really rough start with the shoulder injury and missing the beginning
Mhm.
of the season, but she's had a few double since, and offensively, I think she's trying to find her stride. But I will say, not having that break, we kind of talked about it earlier about going straight from the one league to another league, coming off a national championship where she dog walked Caitlin Clark. But I think the big thing for me was really breaking down what's going to happen post All-Star break, not All-Star break, the Olympic break, because they're going to be off from July 15th to August 15th, if I'm not mistaken. So Camilla's going to be able to get an opportunity to rest that shoulder, rest her body in general, rest her mind, kind of get back into it, get back in tuned. And I'm really excited to see what this second half could mean for her. Not to say, that she's going to just skyrocket and become the favorite, but we know who she is at the end of the day. You were taking number 3 overall. Cameron Brink goes down. Rakia Jackson, I still think is a monster as well. She's like a mini Kalia Copper. So I would say, for me, Aaliyah Edwards as well. But I think, I'm rocking with Miller. I think Camilla's gonna come back, and I think it's gonna be a problem.
Mhm. So you
Aaliyah
think
got
she might
100
win Rookie of the
rebounds.
Year instead?
Aaliyah's got 100 rebounds on the season already.
For sure, for sure.
That
She's just
double
got to
double.
figure out, yeah, from a
That,
scoring perspective, she's just kind of got to figure it out. But I
yeah,
see no problem with it.
but yeah, no, that double double Camilla put up against Indiana was sweet.
Yeah, for
All
sure.
right, guys, we got to take a break really quick. We got to, run for a second. But Mike, can you stay here with us for a few more minutes and
Of
continue to talk some
course,
WNBA with us?
of course.
Okay. All right. We'll be right back. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
I remember when we had a team. I missed the Rockers.
Oh man, that was your team.
Yeah.
Damn. Tragic.
My company had a suite for the Cavs that they would take
I
like the
agree with you,
sales
Kate. That
into
was a
and
season.
stuff. So then they had it for every sporting event there, and nobody wanted to go. So we would just sign up for free. And my daughters and I went to every Rockers game when they were here. It doesn't help that the league has shrunk. So
Yeah.
there aren't that many teams. It just gives people more time to focus. You don't have 30 teams. You've got, what am I at? 12, 16?
Yeah. Almost, I think it's gonna be like 14 in a couple of years. They got the Valkyries and
Yeah.
I forgot the other one's
I
name.
don't know how we need to get a team back in Cleveland.
Man,
That's all I'm saying.
we pitched
miss
it. I
having it.
told Rachel, I told Brandy about it. I was like, we were pitching the idea. I think they were kind of talking about it, and then it just like it disappeared out of thin air. Like I don't know. I don't think they really wanted it. I don't think the city really wanted it that bad because if it was the idea was pitched, it just never really went anywhere. So I don't know.
Well, and we get the same thing. We have minor league hockey, so we have the Barons, but it makes
All right.
scheduling
Welcome back to
problematic
Her in the
between the
Huddle on
Guardians, the Browns, the
WOVU
Champs.
95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports. I am here with Cleveland Kate, Sapphire, and our guest right now is Mike Hughes of the Give Us a Shot Network, who covers
I'm
the
trying to
WNBA.
talk to him about getting us a WNBA team here, Rachel. I didn't mean to talk over you, but it's just ultimately, I don't know how many sports teams one city can have. We got parking problems now. If there's 2 teams with a home game, I don't know what we'd do if we had to throw a 5th game
Bring
into
him
the
to
mix for
Wolstein.
scheduling.
Bring him to
Yeah,
the
Mike.
Wolstein.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mike,
you
'cause we used
could.
to have
You
a
know
team
what,
here called
Sapphire?
the
You are a
Cleveland Rockers.
genius. They can play at the Wolstein Center.
Absolutely.
The
I used to
Cleveland
be a
Rockers?
season ticket. Yeah, I used to be a season ticket holder.
I
Yeah,
remember the
Painful.
Rockers.
yeah.
played at
They
the
could.
Q.
They could bring him to Wolstein.
I think y'all got to figure out your Cavalier stuff first.
We've already figured
Here
all
we
that out.
go.
We're
You said
good.
what? I ain't say nothing. I was just hanging out.
There he
We
goes.
solved all the Cavaliers' problems, son.
Yeah,
I
so
still
is
got
there
an
talk
issue with the
about
Bulls.
expansion?
Does the name Joakim Noah ring any bells here?
That's
Ooh.
my dog. And
Still carrying that burn from the Bulls. Thank
there's
you.
still nobody that says they go to Cleveland on vacation. So I
I
mean,
Oh
know.
my God.
he was
know.
right
We'll
then, and
talk
he's
about
right
it.
today. Y'all can
Thanks for
try
coming
him.
on, Mike. We
Haters.
definitely
Just because
appreciate
it's
you. Till next time.
true don't mean we have to talk about it, Mike.
Oh, my bad.
We're allowed to talk about our family like that. Y'all ain't
Hey,
allowed to talk.
hey, my
Wow.
bad. I stand for
Wow.
Joe. I
So,
stand
Mike,
with
I do
Joe.
have a question for
I
you
know.
regarding expansion with the popularity of the newfound popularity. Because to me, the league has always been popular. It's always been something that people have talked about.
Mhm.
But is there, like Kate was saying, you guys were probably talking about during our break, is there any talks about, possible expansion, or they want to see how the league does for a couple years, or, do they want to, ride this Caitlin Clark effect?
No, I mean, yes to everything. To be honest, I think they're going to continue to see how much Caitlin Clark's games grow. Obviously, for us, it's like we want to see Skytown in the United Center. Ain't nothing going on other. There's no Bulls basketball, no Blackhawks hockey. Nothing's going on anyway. So we want to see that eventually happen all around the leagues. We want to see legitimate NBA basketball arenas being held, not 9,000 fans. We're looking towards 20, 30,000 at some point. But as far as expansion, we know that the Valkyries are, I believe that's Golden State, if I'm not mistaken, or San Diego. I don't even know. But I know it's coming. And I know Toronto's another one that they're really looking forward to. I know the Sky, that was a great experience we had last year when we went to Toronto, and it was so dope to have the first WNBA game ever played there. We had Kiana Traylor, a dog, absolutely dog walking everybody and it was incredible to see her get her first opportunity. And, Toronto loved it, and the Six was really into it. So the W is trying to make sure that Golden State and Toronto are going to be the new part of the expansion. Hopefully, I think the idea is like 2026. If I'm not perfect on that whole thing, but I think that's the idea. Is very soon. There's going to be 2 new teams. And then from there, like we said earlier, it's 12. So, they can continue to bump that up very quickly if they see fit. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not one to start arguments or start issues, but like when you're playing the same 12 people all the time, that's why you see so much controversy. People are tired of playing each other all the time. People are tired of going to Cleveland, going to Chicago, going to all these different places. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? I would be tired too. But it's really dope to see the idea of expansion really happening, especially the Toronto part, because it's like, what a lot of people don't understand is, and not saying Canada is that, but Euro hoops is insane, and people who know. My guy Chaz Franklin does a lot of work overseas. He's in Tokyo right now. If I'm checked his Instagram story right, I don't even know what he's doing over there. But people around the world love women's hoops. So Canada being a part of that, the same way the NBA, MLB, NHL, wherever, it's really cool to see that happening. So I think those are the 2 ones. And Rachel, I'm gonna have to send you a picture. The Valkyries, low key, purple is my favorite color, so it's kind of tough. I might need a jersey. I don't know if they get Paige, I might need one.
So yeah, Golden State Valkyries start in 25. Toronto is 26. They haven't named the team yet, but I understand that the Toronto Raptors are very supportive of the whole thing, that Drake is in on that ownership group. And then I wish Cleveland was on the list, but like Philly, Portland, Nashville, Denver, I think are the big 4 cities that are in negotiation, and really where you could see 4 more coming up in the years after that.
Wait, let me go back right quick. Where do you think Paige is going to land?
Paige is, I mean, it's an interesting one, because I think right now there's, if you would have told me that a month ago, I would have said Indiana, because Indiana was like 1-10. Right now it looks like Washington. Notice how I got muted the second I said that. They don't want y'all to know things. That's what the problem is. I think Washington makes the most sense right now, just because of how they're put together. They're taking moral victories, and if Rachel ever hears me say anything, there's no such thing. But when you're a rebuilding team, you got to take small wins. So they have Aaliyah Edwards. I think you bring in Paige, who's a dog.
Absolutely.
Is definitely going to.
Are we talking about UConn Husky? She's a dog. Paige Buckets.
She's a dog.
Paige Buckets.
She's certified.
She's the truth, man. She's the truth.
Yeah, so I would say Washington right now.
Okay.
I just want her to be able to stay healthy.
Yeah, well, don't talk to me about that. I still got Lonzo Ball over here, Rachel. So
Oh, God.
I like this young man.
I got a lot going on, and none of it's good. It's a bad time.
Yeah, Mike's a great follow too on social media. Sapphire isn't on social media though, so
no,
she doesn't get a chance to follow you. But
that's okay. So you're not missing nothing. Social media is.
I'm gonna get on there just for you, Mike.
Oh, please.
Oh, you didn't get on there for me, so I'm gonna take that personal.
Don't gaslight me. Don't gaslight me like that.
No,
it'll go to my head.
No. No, you didn't use that word gaslight. Please stop me. Okay.
Yeah, so who you think possibly could win the title right now? The New York Liberty have the best record right now, and the Las Vegas Aces, I still think they're, trying to figure out what's going on with them. But, do you think that the New York Liberty probably are going to be a runaway for the title?
I don't think so. I love New York, and I love Sabrina and them. You know, Salute, and I want to give my condolences to Salute because I haven't done a show yet in a couple weeks. But I know the passing of her mom really hit home. She was huge in Skytown, so it's definitely tough. But they have multiple MVPs there, and whether Sabrina is one or not, she is an MVP candidate. You have Jonquel Jones, you have Stewie, and Salute being a point guard is amazing, but I'm gonna rock with my dog. I'm gonna rock with my dog. I'm gonna rock with Ka. I think her, BG, and DT are doing amazing things. They got some great stuff going on in Phoenix, and I think that's just not being talked about enough. You got a great lineup in Las Vegas. I was talking to Asia Wilson the other day post game. Asia's insane. But BG is BG at the same time, and Kalia and DT and what they're able to do. DT knows, on borrowed time. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
it's one of those. I don't want to say that to her because I don't want her to ever see this and come at me. But you understand what point of your career you're in. Kalia Copper is having an MVP caliber season, and I think as they continue to grow together, you have a legitimate conversation about what they've been able to do. They were just in the finals just a few years ago, and they lost to Kalia Copper, who was the MVP of the finals. So to have her there, I think is amazing, and I wouldn't count them out. I want to just say New York or Vegas, but I don't know. Something about this Mercury team is different.
I just think Becky Hammons is distracted. And I don't know if I want to feel like she's trying to come back to the NBA, but she's distracted. She just, I don't know. There's something nagging me about that because they
Yeah.
should be a lot better than they are. But I'm going to ride with you about Phoenix, though.
Yeah, I don't think she's necessarily distracted. Like in my opinion, just because I was talking to her the other day and she kind of spoke on that. It's like at some point throughout every single one of their championship runs thus far, they've had that slow part of the season. I believe
Okay.
once was in the middle, last year was towards the end, and this year was in the beginning. So that it kind of happens, and that comes with the territory. I mean, I will say one positive thing about Cleveland. That does happen when you're trying to create a dynasty. Bron and them went through the same thing at different parts of the season. You start questioning things, but it's all about the end. I don't think it really matters what happens in the beginning or the middle, as long as you end up with the trophy again.
Okay.
Well, Mike,
what are your social media @s so we can all follow you?
I'm the Shy Kid, TheChi Kid, TikTok, Instagram, and you could always, if you can't find me, you could always find Rachel. Rachel does amazing things all the time, and I'm always in her comments, so you can always find me there too.
Thanks. I appreciate you, Mike. Thank you so much for coming on and being a guest.
Very nice meeting you, Mike.
Time. It flew by. So, definitely want to have you on some more to talk some WNBA with us, in the future. So appreciate you taking the time out today. Sapphire Kate, want to thank you ladies for being with me today. That's it for Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. And we are out of here.
All right, Mike, listen, you got a vocal booth. Where you sitting? What your studio looks like?
Oh man, this is really it. It's just this wall and then a bunch of bullshit all over because